morning, friends. Today I'm going to continue with the Four Noble Truths. Just for those who were not here last time for my talk, I would like to say, just a very brief reminder of what we did last time. This year, I'm going to focus on talking or introducing the Four Noble Truths. So what are the Four Noble Truths? The first one is called the truth of suffering, that we have to face the fact that life, whether you like it or not, is suffering. Okay? If you're saying that, okay, I am living a very good life. I live in a $250,000, $500,000 house. I drive a, not Honda, but how about an Audi? Pretty good. Not to mention Mercedes or Rolls Royce, right? And I have a good family. I have a good spouse. I have good children. I live a very decent life. And I go traveling, taking vacation every year, and you're telling me life is suffering? Doesn't make quite much sense to me. Then let me ask you this question. Have you ever been sick? Have you ever been departed with your loved ones, your parents, your grandparents, your best friends? How about, have we ever been thinking about, even just a little bit, that it's coming our way and we cannot avoid it? Have we ever been not getting what we want, or getting what we don't want? Well, if you don't want to label it as suffering, you can label it as miseries or dissatisfactions. Those are the facts of life, right? So the first truth is, life is full of misery. Truth number one. Number two, we have to find out then what caused all these. What's so-called what we call the suffering? What are the causes? That's truth number two. Number three is, we guarantee you all this suffering is going to go away. They're going to cease to exist. Cessation of suffering. Truth number four is, hey, there is no free lunch. We have to work on it. So here is the path that leading to the cessation of suffering. That's truth number four. That was what we have been talking about. Now, I just finished the first noble truth, suffering, during my last talk, and I'm getting into the second truth. The second truth is we have to find out the causes. What caused us to suffer or to have all these miseries? Now, there are three aspects that we can understand, that we can go through so that we can understand what are the causes. Number one is called a generation of karmic energies. Number two is called actions that we perform due to our ignorance and connecting to the defilements. Number three are conditions favorable for the maturing and arising of consequences. The fact is that all volitional actions, they will generate karmic energy, okay? Whether the karma is positive, negative, or even non-moving, they do bring effects. This is the teaching of cause and effect, or what we call the causality in Buddhism. There are three types of actions. Number one is our mental action. Number two is our physical action. Number three is our verbal action. Those are the three actions that we do day in, day out, 24/7. Even though in our sleep, our mind won't start working. Okay? So those are the three types of actions. Physical and verbal. Our body function and our words, they are only instruments of our mental actions. Actually, what we do physically, what we do, what we say verbally, they are reflections of what are in our mind. If I don't want to punch anybody, in my mind first, my fist won't stretch out. Okay, it starts from the mind. So this physical body is what we call the expressive form. That's something we can touch, we can see. And there is another type of form called unexpressive form. Now, this unexpressive form are actually latent energies. They are potentials that is going to turn into what we call the karmic energy. So these volitional actions are sooner or later is going to produce effect. So when people heard about the word karma, very commonly I receive two reactions. One is like, I didn't do it, it's my karma. So we blame everything to karma. Okay? The second reaction would be like, oh, I have done something wrong in the past. When is this karma going to get me? So I'm so scared. So those are the very normal and common reactions when we hear the word karma. According to a venerable master Insu, he said that there are three types of karma, or three types of karmic energy, or three types of karmic results. Number one is called a positive or wholesome or virtuous actions that actually produce wholesome karmic results. Second one, of course, you have positive, you ought to have negative, right? So second one is the negative karma or actions that brings negative results. Number three is called a neutral or non-moving actions that produce neutral or non-moving results. So we just mentioned that our physical and verbal actions are manifestations of our mental actions. So with the actions that we perform, something that we do verbally or physically, our mind has already planned this out. Okay? Now, there are what we call the mental factors that affect whether our actions are wholesome or non-wholesome. Okay? The mental factors are very fine descriptions of all the mental functions that arises in the mind before it turns into physical or verbal. According to a commentary, it's called the Abhidhamma Kosa, categorize these mental actions very detailedly. Start with the chitta, the main mind, which is the main constituent. Then it developed into 46 mental factors. Out of the 46, 24 are related to wholesome actions, 26 are related to non-wholesome or unwholesome actions or mental factors. Don't worry, I'm not going to get into very detail in those 46 mental factors. So, we talk about wholesome, non-wholesome, or unwholesome, positive or negative. How about the neutral or non-moving? according to Venerable Insun, it says the neutral or non-moving karma is connected to jhana, which are the states of concentration. They are also considered as wholesome karmic energies. So practitioners who generate the non-moving karmic energy will possibly be reborn into the form or formless realm. We are in the desire realm, by the way. Okay. But other commentaries like Abhidhamma Sankara, they have, they kind of number the mental factors in different ways. So if you are interested, you can study those or go into those commentaries and have a detailed description or understanding of it. Now, regardless whether the types of wholesome, unwholesome, neutral, karma is karma. Karma is called karma because they are volitional actions that brings effects, just like the kind of seed that we planted in the ground, it inevitably produce fruits. There is a very good book. The name of the book is The Buddha and His Teaching. This is written by the late Bhante Venerable Narada. Very good book. It's got 3 chapters. I think it's chapter 18, 19, 20, maybe 4 chapters talking about karma. Okay? If you are interested, please read them. So the question comes like, why somebody was born so rich? Why I am born so poor? Why am I born like with all my limbs and brain and physical body intact? Why somebody were born handicapped? Why somebody like Tony was born so beautiful? Why am I born so ugly? Those questions, why? Okay? So, let me blame the karma. Okay. Is it true? Is it true? According to Venerable Narada, it says everything is not due to karma. And let me read this passage for you. Maybe you will understand it a little bit better. He said, although Buddhism attributes the variation of each individual's life to the law of karma as the chief cause amongst a variety, it does not, however, assert that everything is due to karma. The law of karma, important as it is not, well, it is only one of the 24 causal conditions. It's called Pachaya, described it in the Buddhist philosophy. He said that if all physical circumstances and mental attitudes spring solely from past karma, and if the present life is totally conditioned or wholly controlled by our past actions, then karma is certainly tantamount to fatalism or predetermination or predestination. One will not be free to mold one's present and future. If this were true, free will would be an absurdity. Life would be purely mechanical, not much different from a machine. Whether we are created by an almighty God or who control our destinies and foreordain our future, or are produced by an irresistible past karma that completely determines our fate and control our life's course, independent of any free actions on our part, is essentially the same. So if you say that everything is because of karma, or it's God's will, Makes no difference. Somebody is determined or something is determined in our life. We can't change it, right? So if that's the case, he said that one could easily substitute for another because the ultimate operation of both forces will be identical. He then continued to say that such a fatalistic doctrine is not the Buddhist law of karma. So we just said that karma is not everything. It's not determining everything. It's only one of the factors that bring us here to our present life. And we can determine our future also, because we can alter. Now there are 5 orders or 5 laws that operates our physical and mental realm. We call them the laws of nature or factors that cause things to happen in the cosmos. And there is a Pali term, it is called the Pancha Vidam Niyama. Pancha Vidam means 5-fold. Niyama had different translations, okay? It's both from Sanskrit and Pali. I sum up to about a few. Translated as constraints, gardens, inevitable, fixed, assurance, or maybe necessity. Okay? And for the purpose of our explanation, we'll just refer them as factors, the 5-fold factors or laws that govern our physical environment and mental processes. There are teachings about the Panchavidam Niyama also in various suttas, especially in the commentaries, the Abhidhammavatara commentary, or in the Pachaya Sutta in the Samyutta Nikaya. Don't worry about those terms, okay? You'll come across to it if you come frequently. That's an encouragement. So, if you would like to, you can take a look on these texts. Now let's briefly examine these 5 orders or factors or laws. Number 1 is called Uttu Niyama. This is the physical inorganic order concerning our external environment, governing the climates, the weather, the season, correlating the inorganic phenomena like chemistry, physics, geology, etc. All the matters that this Uttu Niyama governs are not part of the karma, the law of karma, and it's not overwritten by karma at all. Okay? So, natural disasters like earthquake, like tsunami, they fall into this category. So, I remember when tsunami happened in either Japan or somewhere, somebody said that, oh, it's karma. Wrong. The natural disasters are not governed under the law of karma. They are governed under the Uttu Niyama, another set of factors or laws. But those people who happen to be there during the natural disasters, they might be driven by their own karmic energy. So, see the difference? Okay, good. Second one is called the Bija Niyama. Bija, we all know that it means seeds, right? So this is the order of germs and seeds, the organic order this time. It's the laws that concerning reproduction and heredity and genetic. Why am I born as a Chinese person? Because my parents, my grandparents, they are Chinese. Actually, I'm not 100% Chinese. I'm 1/16 Filipino. So I do have that little blood in me. So Bija is the law that governs the genetic part or organic part. For example, if I plant a lemon seed in the ground, what do I have? I have lemons, I can't have mangoes, right? That's the law. Number 3 is called the karma niyama. Now we come to karma. It's the order of acts and results. It's the law of intention and human behavior. It's the law of causation. So what is the law? It means that desirable and undesirable actions produce corresponding good and bad results. Okay? We might not see the result immediately, by the way. If you see that somebody committed a crime and he's or her and she is not got punished, then we fall into another law. Okay? So the next law is number 4, it's called Dharma niyama. This is a law of interrelationship of everything. For example, if I have to have my feeling generated in me, I see this statue, I like this statue, I use it for example all the time. I see this statue and it looks very peaceful to me. And there is a very, very pleasant sensation arise in my mind and throughout my body when I see this statue. But the condition for me to have that feeling arise in me is because my eye come in contact with the statue. So contact is the condition for the arising or arisen of my pleasant sensation. So the relationship, one thing happened, depend on the other condition or situation falls into the Dharma niyama. Okay? And there is a good part of the Dharma niyama is the nature wants us to be good. It is the nature's tendency to perfect. It's a little bit difficult to understand, but I'm planting a little seed in your mind at this point. So, number 5 is called the chitta. We mentioned the word before. Chitta is the main mind. Chitta niyama. This is the order of the mind or the process of our consciousness. It's the law concerning the mental activities. One example is, again, I'm using my eye as an example, my eyes as an example. My eyes can only see brightness, can only see shape, form, color. My eyes cannot hear. Agree? My nose cannot see. My ears cannot taste. Those are the orders of the function of our chitta, our mind. Not only that, the 4th process, feeling, I just mentioned, perception, how do we perceive things? Volition, which is the mental formation. What's happening in our mind? What action am I going to take? What kind of information that I would like to store? Those falls into the chitta niyama. So, these are the laws, the 5 laws that we were talking about. Remember at the beginning of the talk, I mentioned that we can understand the cause. I might distract everybody by throwing into the 5 factors, but we are still on the second noble truth. Okay? The causes of suffering. So we mentioned about the generation of the karmic energy. We mentioned that let's get into the actions performed due to ignorance. Okay? According to Venerable Master Insu. Well, let's worry about the negative or unwholesome karmic energy because we know that if we perform something wholesome or virtuous, we're bound to have happiness. as a fruit, right? But why did we perform, since we know that we want happiness, then why do we perform unwholesome actions? How did this happen? It's because we have those 46 mental factors with 24 are wholesome, 26 are unwholesome. Because when we perform those actions, our mind is connected with those 26 unwholesome or non-virtuous mental factors. So, and then those mental factors are what we call the defilements, mental defilements, such as craving, aversion, fear, anxiety, hatred. Those are the negative or unwholesome mental factors. When our mind is connected to those things, if anger arises in me when I see this person, my mind is connected to the unwholesome factor. So there is a thinking about, I better say something to this person that I don't like. So the anger is already arising in me. Okay? Then I'll put it into verbal or physical actions. That's how we generate the negative karmic energy. Now, once the karma or karmic energy is generated, whether we like it or not, it's ours to keep. It's ours to keep. Now, when the favorable condition arises, we have to bear the consequences. Until our dues are fully paid, the karmic energy will then exhaust you. Now, being that said, and then we come to the next common reaction to karma, then, I already did a lot of evil things or unwholesome things. What am I going to do? Okay, what am I going to do? Don't forget that the third condition is like, if the conditions are favorable, then we harvest our fruit. Okay, if the conditions are favorable. For example, if I planted a peach seed in the ground, so the result is I will have like peaches at the end, right? Not bananas, right? That's the law of bija niyama, we just mentioned. But how about, okay, I planted a seed, but I don't give it enough fertilizer. But if I don't put it under the sunlight, but if I don't even water it, I don't put in insect repellent, I just put a whole bunch of rocks on top of it, would it sprout? No, it won't. So, but the seed is there. It's already planted. So what do? In Buddhism, we have a term for it. It's a Chinese term. I like it a lot. It's called 圆觉不生. 圆觉不生. Translated into English, it's called condition lacking, therefore no re-becoming. I like that term a lot. And I think everybody can work on this. So the same situation with karma. We performed relational actions in the past, right? Wholesome, unwholesome, non-moving, whatever. The seed already planted. Now, if we continue to nourish it with our defiled action, because defilement not only can ignite the karmic energy, it also nourishes the negative karmic energy. So if we keep on fertilizing our karmic energy, then when the condition is favorable, we have to harvest, I call it the karmic fruit. Okay, inevitable. According to Venerable Insun, he advises advise the practitioners not to spend time trying to get rid of the seeds or the past karmic energies that we already accumulated. Because we cannot turn back the time. We cannot undo what we did. Okay? It's already there. We have to understand that karma, what causes karma is caused by our relational actions that connected with defilements. So instead of trying to undo what we did, we have to look forward and try to eradicate the root. What are the roots? The roots of defilement that cause karma, that cause karmic energy to be generated in the first place, so we don't generate new karma or negative karma energy. This reminds me of the discourse by Goenkaji, the late Goenkaji. He talked about the thorns on the path. Planting the seeds of karma, planting the seeds. It's just like walking on a path full with thorns. The seeds are already there. The thorns are already there. Instead of getting into a lot of trouble trying to pick out every single thorn on the ground, pick out every seed that we planted. A very simple solution. Just wear a pair of protective shoes and walk on the way. Simple as that. Right? So we don't want to spend the time to unplug all those thorns. At the mundane level, in Buddhism, we talk about the mundane level, which is our day-to-day routines, or what we call the conventional truths. And then we have the supra-mundane level, which is what we call the ultimate truths. Studying the Four Noble Truths can be very short and easy. Just number one, suffering. Number two, cause of suffering. Number three, cessation of suffering. Number four is the path leading to the cessation of suffering. Period. End of the talk. But we can also get into very much detail in the way that we don't want to just understand on the surface level. We want to penetrate into the teaching as deep as possible so that we can benefit from it. Now, at the mundane level, we need to replace our unwholesome karmic energy with wholesome or virtuous karmic energy. In this way, we'll be able to create a better environment so that we can practice. We can continue practice to reach to another level until the final goal of liberation from all the defilements, from all the miseries. So at the mundane level, let's take step number one. Replace unwholesomeness with wholesomeness. How about that? Okay? How do we do that? We know that we are sometimes connected with the negative defilements or negative mental factors. That means we have to avoid performing actions that connected to the negative or unwholesome factors. That means every single action, mental, physical, or verbal action that we take, we have to be very mindful. It's not easy, but it's doable. It's doable. That is why mindfulness training is so important. That is why, please come and practice with us on the mindfulness meditation, which is very effective in calming our mind, in developing our mindfulness, and eventually develop wisdom, so that we do not perform unwholesome actions. I would like to continue talking, but my time is up. But I'm not done with the second noble truth yet. We still have several levels to go through. Let's do our dedication and merits. May all beings be peace. May all beings be happy. May all beings be liberated. And I thank you all.